let's get one thing clear, man. There's a shift taking place in this country and our communities throughout the country of men that's absolutely needed at the moment.
Right.
A shift of a small community of men who are striving and working hard daily to produce the better versions of themselves, to be better fathers, husbands, brothers, men in general.
Right.
While most men are losing out in being productive men because they lost for the knowledge and information that's needed to better themselves.
Exactly
so
right.
Today, that's why we're here.
Right.
That's why we're doing a podcast. That's why we call it OG Talk, because as the scripture says, the younger for war. And our community is full of warriors that's misguided because the elders is for guidance. The elders is for instructions, but we're not getting instructions. So there's a great divide of men who's out here lost in our community.
Right. It's time to get back to those traditional roles.
It's definitely time.
Right.
So that's why we're here. And today we just want to discuss masculinity. We want to discuss that gap in our community and what is that community of men who are constantly trying to better themselves and be better men, and why is it so many not adapting to that culture?
And first, what is masculinity?
Wonderful question.
Yeah.
Wonderful question. Being a man, historically, and being a man in modern times seem to be two different versions of men.
Very different. Very different.
We looked at cultures of men who took honor and pride in their community and family and was willing to fight, bleed, and die for their community.
Right.
Now we look at a culture of men who are docile and weak.
Right.
Maybe the weakest version of men we ever seen in history.
Possibly. It's kind of like that saying, you know, I think life goes in cycles, or history goes in cycles, where strong men, hard times create strong men.
Right.
Strong men then create good times.
Right.
Off of those good times, that creates weak men, and weak men, since they're weak, they're gonna turn around and create hard times again. So I see it as a cycle, and I think right now we in that time of the weak men are creating hard times.
So, I totally agree.
Yeah.
We watched at the beginning of coming into 2025 a big controversial movement, what some call a what do you call it? When they talked about Project 2025. Many believe it was true, many did not believe it. We don't know whether that's actually the agenda that's happening.
Right.
But we are almost at the end of 2025, and it's very clear that some type of agenda
it's
happened in 2025.
For sure.
This country and the world has changed so much in 1 year.
In 1 year.
We've never seen this much change throughout the world. And we're talking now in the midst of a government shutdown, the longest government shutdown in history.
Oh, it is the longest now?
It is the longest now.
Okay, I know it was coming up on it.
So we took most of us who believed, or those of us who believed Project 2025 was a real agenda, we had no real cry. We just had fear.
Right.
We had no real
plan of action
to attack what could be something that's set to hurt us. And that's always been the case in seeing it be in the Black community.
Right. And that's the problem with the Black community. It seemed like a long time ago, the Black community just became docile and just reactive instead of being proactive and thinking like a free person. If that makes sense to you.
That's exactly
what I'm saying. A free person, a free man, the way he thinks is everything is his responsibility. His safety, his security, his food, his everything. So that was the norm at one time. So what has happened since then, I don't know. It's a series of things, but we have gotten so far away from that to the point where it's like we're depending on what someone does to us. Like our state depends on what someone does to us, and that's a crazy place to be.
I guess that's a good point. It just reminds us that we still come in a slave-like manner.
Right.
We got a slave-like mentality.
Mhm.
So when the slave master creates an agenda that could ill affect us, we still dependent on the slave master to create an agenda to help us out of the agenda he created.
And that's the definition of insanity.
That's insanity. And a free people always understand that regardless of what the opposing system does, we have to focus on our own agenda.
Right.
And somehow, some way in 2025, going into 2026, Black people still do not have an agenda.
Right. And just to say, you know, in war, it's never been about what your enemy is doing.
Right.
It's about what you're doing to combat that and stop that.
Correct.
You know, so you have to keep the initiative on your side. Otherwise, you at mercy.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So in our process, understanding that the world is shifting, as we just mentioned,
Right.
we knew that it was time for us to come to the forefront to reach for our tribe.
Right.
Brotherhood is more important than your relationship.
Facts.
Brotherhood is more important than your relationship.
Facts.
Why? Because besides God, brotherhood is next, because brotherhood is what helps build a man into character and what helps build a community.
That what holds the standards.
Holds the standards. Men set the norm in every community.
Right.
That's why our community is in chaos, because men are absent in our community.
Right.
Our communities are run by women who don't have the capacity to control the environment or the manipulation that our children face on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And the ears of the youth are to they're taking the initiative and the influence from other youths. You know, every culture has to be maintained and controlled by elders.
Correct.
Because they have to hold the standard. You know, through hip hop and all the different cultures that Black Americans have been partaking in for the last decades, it's being ran by the children. Children create what is good, what is bad, what is cool, what is not.
Right.
That's a major problem.
Right.
So we gotta, the elders, we're gonna have to take it back and retake control of our culture and try to right the ship.
What do you think is the greatest influence on Black youth, in particular young Black men today in America?
Hip hop.
Why so?
Because they call hip hop a culture, right? I call it the lack of culture. That's hip hop is something that you come up with when you've been stripped of your true culture, right? So hip hop started with being rebellious, right? But it was controlled by the youth. That's the problem. Now, when you have a rebellious culture, it's so rebellious that the destruction was written into its inception.
Right.
It rebelled on itself. It rebelled on what it was supposed to start out and be.
Are you saying the individuals in the rap game rebelled against it, or was it influence from outside forces?
Definitely influence from outside sources.
Okay.
Definitely.
How so?
I mean, it's been documented evidence that the powers that be, whoever that might be, had an agenda and was in cahoots with the prison industrial complex, and they needed to fill prisons. So why not, since the youths are so influenced by this music, why not put the criminal element in this music and only promote that? Since they had the powers of the radio and everything like that.
I'm assuming you're referring to what we heard to be a private meeting with entertainers and record executives and corporations, where they discuss the need for more gangster music, and an agenda to invest in prisons throughout America, and using the influence of music, or the hip hop music rather, to help fill the jails.
Exactly.
And I can recall just a few days ago, a prison in one of the states just sued. A corporation sued the prisons.
Yeah, I saw that.
For not having enough. See, prisons get paid for each bed yearly.
Right.
They get a certain amount of money each bed, and it's their job to keep the beds filled.
Right.
That's the business.
Right.
So I can only wonder, how do you fix from getting sued? What do you do in your state that you're getting sued for not getting keeping the prisons filled?
You crank up the heat.
How do you crank up the heat?
You put more new artists out there. You do more promotions. You put more things in the algorithm. You just keep it going. One thing about it, I think hip hop has become the number one threat to our community. To me, this is my opinion right now. But I kind of feel like other cultures can partake in it, but they put it down. A white kid can listen to a rap song.
It's just music to him.
It's just music. He listens when he walks out the house. He leaves it in his room. For some reason, the black youth feel like they have to live it, and they don't put it down. That's why it's more dangerous to us for some reason.
I think that's something we should really study. It's called music programming.
Right.
Television programming.
Right.
So if I'm listening to who seem to be the biggest stars, in my opinion, when I'm watching NBA YoungBoy addressing the youth, then what type of mentality comes with that? Somehow, some way, we begin to glorify the gangster life.
Right.
Somehow, some way, what started in the small part of LA, known as the Crips and the Bloods, how is it that it spread it throughout the country?
Through outside influence.
That's
the only thing that makes sense.
Television programming. Before Colors, the movie came out, most of us knew nothing about the Crips and the Bloods on a national scale.
Right.
Most of us knew nothing about gangbanging.
Right.
Of that sort. Sure, we had crime and violence in our communities, but nothing of this nature.
You always had that element, but when you look at something that's supposed to represent a culture and it's so unbalanced as hip hop is, that lets you know it's not organic. This is not a natural occurrence.
Okay.
Because with hip hop, if you look at it, it's 98% of the black community is thugs and gangsters, and that can't be true.
Would you say? Okay, according to hip hop,
yeah,
the image that's portrayed. Gotcha,
exactly.
Gotcha.
When you touch down in another country, everybody thinks that you are that.
I agree.
Because we have placed them in a position and made them our ambassadors.
That's how they show us to the world.
Yeah.
So I guess at some point we just gotta recognize and acknowledge the fact that we have an open enemy that's working against us from a very high place.
First and foremost.
And going back to the Project 2025 and an agenda, we are at the table because there's an agenda that needs to be established.
Right.
We are at the table because we refuse to sit idle and let our men get demasculated without taking a chance or attempting at some form to bring masculinity back to the forefront.
We wouldn't be men.
We wouldn't be men. We were lacking our duty. Yeah. And that's why we call it OG Talk. Why? Because we're not trying to emulate the Negroes. We've seen enough gangsters. We've seen enough thugs. We've seen too less men trying to be men and help normalize our community.
Right.
So again,
it's so messed up that our youth associate masculinity with being a gangster.
Right.
In their mind, because any young boy is trying to be masculine in his own right.
Right.
He's trying to find himself as a man. And they see the thugs and the gangsters as those are the only masculine males that they have a view of or access to.
Right.
We, as real black men, gotta take the initiative back and show that a father is the most gangster thing in the world.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
President is
a father
this child's life.
And he will go further than any street dude that you can name.
I agree. Because every son in particular is looking for a male role model as he grows up.
Right.
And the enemy, our open enemy, is always giving us role models that he wants our children to imitate. And that's why they got from the public school system to the prison pipeline, which has been talked about for years. You're prepping our babies for life in prison, and you're using a music and television program to prime them for that type of lifestyle. Yeah. If you make it to prison, because death is prevalent in our community.
Right. If you think about it, we got a long history of letting the enemy choose things for us.
Right.
We let the enemy choose a religion for us.
That's right.
We let the enemy choose leaders for us.
Right.
We let the enemy feed us.
Right.
We let the enemy choose our role models. I mean, we let the enemy tell us what woman we should go for.
Right.
So we gotta
Actual
shut the
fact.
door on the
Yes,
enemy at
yes.
some point.
At some point.
Yeah.
And find, we former slaves.
Mm-hmm.
We're children of former slaves,
Mm-hmm.
rather. So we lost our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And our culture that we adapted to is exactly what you just said, that of our enemies. How do we find our way back to our own?
For one, you have to identify the enemy, and you have to look back at what worked when you was more than a former slave.
Right.
So it's no way to go forward without looking back.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, where we are, I feel like your culture is your roadmap. It shows you where you been, so you can use that to get where you going. Because without that, you just lost. I mean, we picked up foreign culture so much in the years that we've been over here in the West, that
Right.
it don't make sense. As far as sexuality, just mentality and everything. It's like we don't even recognize ourselves.
Agree.
Only thing we held on to was the drum and the beat.
That's right. That's right.
And that's it. And so
Can't steal the soul.
nah, you can't. It's in them.
They learning to tamper with it though.
Yeah, it's but it's sure tamper with.
It's definitely tamper with.
Yeah.
So how do we begin to take some of the most gangster generation of Black youth, some of the most uneducated? Most of our babies are graduating illiterate and illiterate, can't read and write, and doing mathematics on the 5th, 6th grade level. Most of them. How do we get people who don't seem to have the thirst for knowledge, don't seem to have the thirst for a better lifestyle? Maybe they do, and it's being suppressed by the environment. How do we begin to create that appetite to lead our youth to a more productive path?
Well, I think it's got to be a multi-pronged attack. We got so much ground to cover. I think separation is a part.
Separation
from people that just gonna be negative, and it's some people just they gonna choose that way. It's like the movie Matrix. You know what I'm saying? We talk about a lot. It's like some people just gonna choose the fakeness.
Definitely.
They don't want the real. It's too hard.
Definitely.
So separation gonna have to be an aspect of it. Living by example. When I say being stand-up men, providing, actually providing, actually protecting,
right,
being on the front line, being financially literate and being able to take care of our family for generations, because if they see you, not in a good financial position, and then this guy over here, it looks like he has the money, it's kind of hard to take a child's mind off of that. It's kind of hard to give them vegetables when they been eating candy.
I agree.
So I think that's a major part of it. I think we're going to have to fix the male and female relationship.
A lot of work to do.
That's a whole nother episode, right?
A lot of work to do.
So I think that's necessary because, the women have a lot of influence over our children, so we need to work together on that.
I agree.
And I feel like just policing our own, not accepting things that we have been accepting. Of course, everybody know the police has been militarized and patrol our community in that way. But I feel like if us men band together and police our communities more, they would have less of an excuse, or they would look worse coming in the way they do.
So as I listen to you, I can only think that most of our men, young and old, would reject this type of ideology.
Of course.
As I listen to you, I realize that that sector that we talked about in the beginning, the men who was seeking and trying to be better version of themselves for themselves and their family and their community, those are those who's going to accept these ideologies. Those are those who are studying these ideologies, and those are those who want to see this type of reality happen.
Right.
So back to the beginning opening, that separation is really got to happen,
It
man.
has to. Everybody can't go.
Everybody don't want to go because everybody can go.
That's
Everybody
true.
has the potential to go
That's
and
true.
produce something better for us in our community.
Exactly right.
Everybody don't have the desires. And I guess as we move forward beyond Project 2025 on to 2026, that type of agenda, knowing that, look, man, we love you, but you got to keep that bullshit over here.
Right.
You want to gangbang, you want to sell dope, you want to do this savage lifestyle type of shit.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over here and build something.
Right.
And we're gonna protect this with our lives, man,
Right.
because this is vital for the growth of our community and our
Right.
people.
Right.
So keep the trash over there, and that's between you and the enemy.
That's it.
We're gonna build over here. So we're doing these talks not because we think everybody could benefit from it. We're doing these talks because we
For
know
who can.
there are brothers like us
Yeah.
that willing and ready to latch on to what we are building here. And that's who we're doing it for.
It's a lot of brothers that feel like that, and being in the Black community, you can feel very alone, like feeling like that and wanting to do these things because it's not a lot of us.
It's not.
It's not. So being on a platform and providing this type of message that it can make them feel like they're a part of something. I really want to ask one question for sure. If we don't change, if we don't succeed, what does the future of the Black man in the West look like?
I think it's inevitable for us to succeed. I think it's written that the bottom shall become the top. The stone that the builders rejected. I think it's biblically and divinely given that we will be rulers in the land where we was once slaves. So we will succeed.
Right.
That's why we're here. That's why God put it in our hearts. And so many men throughout the country who are moving in the same direction. It's God-given, man.
We really had no choice.
We got no choice. Men got to step up and be men. We can no longer avoid our duty and our obligation to serve our people. And I think we will be successful because of it. Don't take many.
Right.
It don't take many. It just take men that's serious about what they're doing.
Right.
And that's what we here for. Brothers like us, man.
Brothers like us. So looking back throughout history, we've had so many Black men step up to that very plate. If all the way from, your Marcus Garvey's, your Elijah Muhammad's. And I feel like their mission, I feel like they were succeeding, but I feel like the outside influences kind of derailed the situation and kind of dumbed us down more than we was. I feel like starting from where we was in the 1960s mentally as a people, I feel like we had a better jumping out point. But now I feel like we gotta gain back that ground that we lost. So now it's important for Elijah's to come up today, for Marcus Garvey for us to come up today. What separates a man like that from the average man mentally?
Good question. First and foremost, let me say this. We have to understand, coming out of slavery, every Black organization that started to progress our people was always labeled the enemy by the United States government.
Right.
When the FBI was formed, J. Edgar Hoover, his top agenda was to infiltrate and destroy from the top down Black groups.
Right, and prevent the Black Messiah.
And prevent the Black Messiah was the ultimate aim of the FBI, in particular during that time. So knowing that any positive movement that's advancing our people is seeming to be opposed by the government itself, even to this day. Even to this day. That's why most of our organizations no longer exist. You still got the Nation of Islam. You got Hebrew Israelites, I believe. The Moorish community, I believe.
Right.
And of course, MWACP, which was started by the Jewish community.
Right.
So it's important for him to keep us distracted from our true nature. It's important for him to keep us on that gangster shit, to keep us on that hoe shit, that hoish shit, that hoochie, that twerking, that savage lifestyle. Why? Because if he leave us alone in our natural state, you're going to have a community of Elijah Muhammad. Right. You're going to have a community of Marcus Garvey's and Nat Turners and Noble Drew Ali's. So he can't leave us alone, man.
Right, because it only makes sense.
That's right.
That's when you're oppressed and when you're attacked and when you're in the state that we are in, when you messed up, it makes sense to fix yourself. That's what any normal human being would do.
That's right.
But we are not normal human beings right now.
No, sir.
We are not operating with a normal mind.
No, sir.
So it's definitely, you're definitely right about that.
We're living on a beast-like state, man.
Right.
We're not even in a man state.
Right.
We built to be gods.
Right.
We was made gods in his likeness and his image. But we not even men at the time. We on the lowest level that you can be, which is a beast.
Board in our back.
We need that board in our
Tell
back.
about that board.
We're gonna say that for another
okay,
day, man.
Okay.
So
okay.
We gotta be clear that time is of the essence. It's time for us to build our tribe. It's time for us to put in the work. And we know for sure that this is not for everybody.
No.
Just brothers like us, man.
Just brothers like us.
Thank you, homie. OG Talk.
For sure.